Hey y'all, it's your girl Mariah Sincere, and I'm back with another video. I'm so excited for this live, y'all, but I think this is gonna be a tough one. Like this, we gonna go deep with this live, okay? This is not for the sensitive. Um, if you are one of those people who are stuck in your opinions and you don't like to hear different perspectives, this is gonna be a hard listen for you, but hopefully we can all just trigger through it because I think that this will be fruitful. Like, I think we all can learn from this. Hey, Mr. D. Hey, Binky. Bianca, why you feel nervous, girl? Don't be nervous. It's me. It's me, girl. Don't be nervous. Don't be nervous. I think this conversation is going to be tough, though. I think it's going to be tough for a lot of people to hear because a lot of people don't like truth. And I'm learning that. I think the problem with Princella is that she overestimated people's ability to swallow her message in its entirety. Okay, and we're gonna talk about that. So I'm gonna get straight to the chase. I see some people coming in here. Y'all, please make sure that when y'all coming in here, y'all hit that like button, comments, holler at me so that I can know that you're here. Okay. So first, if you don't know who Princella the Queen Maker is on High Powered Podcast, you should definitely check her out because she makes things make sense. Binky, you don't want me to have beef? No, it's not going to be no beef. It's not going to be any beef. Let me be clear. There has been nothing that Princella has said at all. And I rarely say this about people. Like, I know a couple people who, like, I agree with maybe 90% of what they say, and I disagree with like 10%. But for the first time in my life, I can say Princella has never said anything that I've disagreed with, that I couldn't see that perspective, or that when I looked out, I couldn't see the truth in it. The only person, okay? And if y'all don't know who Princella the Queen Maker on High Power Podcast is, she basically came up with this concept or this theory that males are incapable of love. Now, on her channel, she says all men are incapable of love, though if you listen to her long enough and deeply, she has conceded that some, but very few, are capable of love. And the standard that she judges this by is by a concept. Like, she teaches that love is not just a feeling, like an emotion that comes and goes, these intense feelings of you really like and want somebody. It's more of a concept that has 5 parts, and she wrote a book about it. Well, she said maybe 2 years after she wrote that book, she came to the conclusion that men were incapable of it based on science, right? And you really need to go to her channel to listen to that because she has a scientific background, right? And she actually has had a biologist, male biologist at that, come on her channel and confirm a lot about what she has said. Male psychotherapist, male psychologist. So she's not just over here in this YouTube space bumping her gum with nothing to back it up. She's definitely original in that she brings that scientific validation to her channel, and she's having conversations with people who have dedicated their life's work to human biology and the study of human psychology. And she layers all of this and puts it together beautifully. And there's nobody on YouTube, there's nobody in this space doing it to the level that she's doing it at. And on top of that, she's just a very matter of fact person. She's a very scholarly person. She reads a lot. You can tell she's not just on here just trying to be seen. Like, everything is well thought out. And I think a lot of women misunderstood her purpose. See, people will go to other people's channels like and I'm gonna talk about her in a minute, Tanya TKO's channel, because they want to trauma bond, right? Or they want to trauma dump a lot of the experiences that men have put them through. So as I watch Princella's channel, sometimes I notice that sometimes she attracts a woman who is just happy that somebody can validate their experiences but don't necessarily want to do the work. And Priscilla has said multiple times the messages that she teaches on her channel is not so that women can hate men. It's so that women can stop chasing what you're never gonna get. Okay, you looking for love from these men who are never gonna give it to you, and we can start working together for the larger goal of saving the planet, right? Of correcting what's going on in the environment as far as human overconsumption. So her message isn't for women to try to hate men. Some people have said, kill men, anything like that. Her message isn't for women to go seek vengeance on men, to try to dunk on men. It's just to simply allow them to be who they are and leave them where they're at and focus on growing you as a person. But a lot of people, a lot of these women, it's like they've been overlooking this message. And what I've noticed is a lot of people think that they are smarter than what they are. They overestimate their intelligence. And I'm going to include myself in that because I was one of them people. Yeah, she's misunderstood by a lot of people. If you go listen to Princella when you were in an unhealed space, you can take that message and not use it for what it is intended to be for, which is personal growth. Okay. For you to make better decisions about your life. Okay. And then you just turn into one of them women who is obsessed with men. And what I mean by women who is obsessed with men, do y'all see those women who all day they claim they don't like men and can't stand men, but all day they're on the internet arguing with males? It literally all day. They on Facebook arguing with them. They're on YouTube all day arguing with them. They're in other women's comment sections arguing about males all day long, but claiming not to like them. Sis, you're obsessed. You obsessed with them. Okay. Um, but and I think a lot of people overestimate their intelligence. I used to be one of those people, y'all. I used to be one of those people who was so firm in my beliefs. I thought I knew everything. And the most intelligent thought I ever had in my life was when I had to admit to myself, I don't know shit. I don't know anything at all. And then on top of that, I got real heavy into Buddhism. And one thing I like about Buddhism is um you're not supposed to be dogmatic. Even about your own, like even about Buddhist beliefs, you're not supposed to be dogmatic. You're supposed to let go of thoughts and that no longer serve the good. Let go of what's holding you back. It's okay to evolve. It's okay to see things differently. Y'all, every day I get up, I never ask God for nothing, right? I never ask for material things. I never ask for God to make something happen that I want to happen. I promise y'all, every morning I wake up, the only thing I ask is to help me see things differently. That's the only prayer I have. Why? Because if you can see things differently, it don't matter where you are in life or what you're going through. You're going to be able to, in an instant, transform your mind to be better prepared to handle that situation. That is the greatest gift you can have in life, the gift of sight, right? And when I listen to Princella, she has sight beyond most human understanding. And I'm not saying that to gas her up. This just is what it is. And I have to give her her props. So one thing that has really got her supporters in a tizzy is that she got on a couple of lives, right? And she said that women need to have compassion for men because men cannot help that they are the way they are. It is their nature. They cannot control the things that they do. They cannot help that they were created with a body that produces that level of testosterone. They cannot help that they are constantly having to fight thoughts and sexual urges throughout the day. And then on top of that, we have a society that has overexposed them to women. Now, as she was giving this message, a lot of the women were saying, so what? I'm supposed to give them sympathy, you know, cootie cat and whatnot. Mind you, she never said that. Her message has always been just stay from around them, get from around them. Just get, it's really that simple. You don't have to do anything else but stay from around, stay out their way, and go find some, work on yourself, or go be in community with your sisters, right? So the women are upset. Oh, we supposed to be out here giving them sympathy, cootie catting. You got compassion for men, but you don't have compassion for women. Mind you, she's made like over 500 videos being empathetic to women, right? So she went on to further try to explain that's just like you somebody taking a lion and putting that lion in a cage, then taking a woman and putting her in the cage with the lion, and the lion attack you, and now they got to go kill the lion. Well, who was the victim in that situation? Both of them, right? Because the lion should have never been put in that cage, and the woman should have never been put in the cage with that lion, right? There should have been separation. The women couldn't wrap their mind around that. And it's like they can understand when she says this is men and this is their nature, right? And we can look at certain things in nature and say, okay, well, we don't get mad at animals for behaving the way that they behave. And I'm not saying that men are animals, but essentially at the base level, we're all animals. Okay, we have to do work on ourselves. Even human beings have to do a lot of work on their mental to transcend their animalistic state, right? So we don't get mad at the animals. We get mad at so why be mad at the men for how they are? Okay. And I like the message. And when I listen, I listen to her message to heal. I'm gonna give y'all an example of something I dealt with today. My child's father. I'm not gonna go into details about the conversation, but we had essentially, I'm gonna keep it 1,000. We had an argument. We had an argument today, and normally the nature of the argument would have had me pissed off for days, not necessarily going back and forth with him because it's been years and years since that, but it would have had me calling my homegirls to tell them what he said, mad all day, doubting myself, my self-esteem low, calling my mama. And immediately after, because he hung up the phone on me, immediately after he did that, I came to an understanding that the things that he said were a defense mechanism because of what he feels like he is and is not capable of doing. And I was done with it. I went about my day. Why? Because I better understand men. And I'm not mad at him. My life gonna keep on keeping on. And guess what? I got a whole lot done today. Okay, versus sitting on the phone gossiping about my baby daddy and what I feel like he is, and the things he said and whether they're right or they're wrong. That whole interaction wasn't even about me. And this is what women are supposed to be taking that message and doing with. Yeah, they totally missed the message. People do this to Love Dorsey a lot too. Some women can't hear things that don't victimize them. Facts. And one thing about Love Dorsey is, she knows her audience, and she knows that her audience likes to date a certain type of man. And when I listen to Love Dorsey, what I'm hearing her say is, well, if you're going to date this kind of man, this is what you need to do, and this is how you need to act. Now, a lot of the women that listen to her don't have sense enough to say, well, guess what? Maybe I just shouldn't deal with that. Maybe I should just separate myself. But instead they get mad at her, and they want to be able to change and pick and choose and decide how their interactions with these men are supposed to go and try to force these men to be a certain way when that's never going to happen. So you can, hey sis, y'all, my homegirl MK is in the building. Michaela. Um, yeah, so it's like, a lot of people don't have the sense to realize, well, you could easily just walk away. And on the whole compassion tip, I'm gonna use this example. So I'm a huge anime fan. I don't know if y'all have ever seen Demon Slayer. I don't know if y'all watch anime, but there's this anime called Demon Slayer, and there's a demon slayer in there named Tanjiro. Basically, the premise of the show is you got all these demons wreaking havoc on towns and cities, and you have this core of slayers who is highly trained to go kill them. Now, the all of the other demon slayers in the core truly hate these demons. Why? Because they've been affected. Some of them had their siblings killed in front of them, or their mothers killed, or something that drove them to go be a demon slayer. Okay. Vicky, watch Demon Slayer. I promise you, you're gonna love it. Demon Slayer and Jujutsu Kaisen. Watch those. But anyway, so Tanjiro joins the Demon Slayers because basically his whole family got slaughtered, but his sister was alive. But she's like one of the only people that got bitten by a demon and turned into a demon. But for whatever reason, she can control herself and not kill demons. Um, to kill people. So he joined the demon slayers really to go on a quest to find a cure for her. And in the process, he has to slay these demons. Well, while he's slaying these demons, he'll like pray with them. Like he'll kill them, like he'll stab them, cut their head off. But as they are deteriorating into dust, he'll pray with them, or he'll listen to their stories, and he'll tell people to respect their bodies. And even though his whole family got slaughtered by these demons, he literally is not slaughtering these demons out of anger. He's not slaughtering them because he hates them. He's slaughtering them because A, he has a mission, and B, it just needs to be done, to save other people, but not out of hatred for them and what they are. And a lot of the other demon slayers, they remind me of a lot of Princella's audience and how they're acting right now. They don't get it. They want to argue with Tanjiro. Why do you care about them so much? Or why is it a big deal if I trample on their bodies? Or why are you being so kind to them? Do you know all the bad stuff that they've done? Right. But if you go around, if you walk around with all that on you, it's so heavy, guys. It's so heavy. If you have a purpose in life, if you have a mission, right, that requires focus, dedication, and the ability to see without clouded judgment, you cannot accomplish that walking around with hate or anger in your heart, because then the hate and the anger, that becomes the mission, that becomes the vision, and you can't never see nothing better. You can't work on the behalf of the good of other people. Now everything you're doing is self-serving and to ease your own pain. Hey D Mally, what's up? I'm glad to see you in the chat. Do y'all get what I'm trying to say? And there's a lot of these women who get on the internet and they're upset and they're mad at Princella, but it's like, sis, as much time as you spend on the internet going back and forth and being upset with men, some of these women will even go to men's channels who they know all these men do is sit up and talk bad about women and all day argue with these men in the comments. Sis, you could be, I don't know, hey, you could be going to the gym. I know you saying you ain't got time to go. What that there would have been your time. You've been saying you want to go back to school. There would have been your time. Okay. You've been saying it's hard for you to cook. That could have been 15 or 20 minutes out of your day. But you're giving your day and your valuable time and energy to people who aren't gonna change the way that they think just because you're upset with them. And then when somebody tell you have compassion for people who don't know better, who are literally trapped by their own nature, because you trapped in your own anger, you can't see it. Okay. I'm gonna go back. That sounds like Anakin Skywalker sliding to the dark side. He had a lot of pain. Yeah. Yes. And if you don't deal with it, it's not easy, y'all. Trust me, I've been there. I've been hurt. I mean, I'm human. We all get hurt. We all have traumatic events happen to us that make you be like, I just want to be a terrible person, or I want to be able to do to other people what this person did to me. But like, that's not a place where you can stay. It's just not. Does that mean that you go around moving foolishly without wisdom and discernment, and that you allow the same things to keep happening over and over again? No. You still see. Okay, now you can see better because you have experience. You still come to an understanding. But just like a lot of those women agree with Princella and say that most men are not capable of love, they don't understand too. And she's had to tell them, y'all aren't either, because love requires compassion and understanding, right? And in order for you to come to compassion, you first have to come to an understanding. And if you can't do that, right, then you'll never get to the truth. And essentially, that's love is truth, y'all. They go hand in hand. Anything outside of that is a lie. That's why I don't argue with people about religion or anything like that, because as long as we both see the truth in the matter, all the other details I don't care about. Because if you're following your religion for the right reasons, we're all gonna get to the same truth. It's all gonna come back to love. So I don't gotta argue with nobody about that, right? Um, I want to talk about an experience, and I brought Tanya TK up. For those of y'all who don't know, y'all probably don't. I kind of had a little run in with her. Basically, and this message applies to her. This is something she needed to hear too. This was a while, and this is not to talk bad about her. I think I don't know. I don't know why she acted this way, but she had a male caller call in who was recently divorced from his wife, right? Now, the whole premise of the show was Tanya was making a point that it's better to get a house plant or a dog than be with a man. So it's not an insult if men are saying that women are going to die alone with dogs, because maybe a dog or a house plant brings more joy. That is what she was saying. So she had a male caller call in, and he basically, uh, was saying he had a lot of respect for women and whatnot, but he had recently just got a divorce. And his wife had gotten cancer, healed up from cancer, and had come to the conclusion that she did not want to be married to him anymore. So Tanya kept pressing him and asking him questions like, well, why does she want to divorce you? What was it that you weren't doing? And he said, I don't know what it is. I don't know the reasons why she divorced me. And so she asked, well, what were you doing while she had cancer? And he said, well, I just worked a lot because she couldn't work. So I just worked more. Yeah, it was a story. Yeah, so he's like, I just worked a lot. She couldn't, it was basically that. So she kept trying to press him. Then she kept trying to make him the bad guy. So your wife was sick with cancer and possibly dying, and you mean to tell me that you were away all that time working? And I'm a logical, practical person, y'all, right? Now, I understand there might have been some things going on in the household that he wasn't saying, but surely we not over here dogging this man out because now he's solely 100% responsible for paying the bills and probably medical bills too, and he has to go work. Somebody got to go work if one spouse is sick, right? So she's dogging him out. The women in the comments are dogging him out, saying, well, yeah, he had the oldest daughter helping take care of the mother while he was away at work. And it just sounded crazy to me, y'all, because again, I live in this capitalistic society like the rest of y'all. My bills come due around the same time every month. I just was not understanding the problem. Now, might there have been some things he wasn't telling us? Possibly. I'm sure we don't know the whole story. It is possible that he ignored his wife's wants and needs so bad that he really didn't understand why she left him. He just, Again, a lot of men don't listen. Okay. And there's nothing wrong with necessarily making assumptions and trying to fill in the gaps. But the problem comes in when you make assumptions and you standing on them so firm that you want to get angry and mad and turn people into the bad guy based off of information that you're assuming that you have no proof of. So, yes, girl, it got intense. So, me, I don't like to see people being mishandled. I don't care who it is, man, woman, boy, girl. I don't like to see people being mishandled because you decide you want to be immature, and because you decide that in front of your audience, you have to always look like you're right, and you can never maybe concede a point or just admit, I don't have enough information to even make a judgment about this, right? Instead, she kept on saying he's not. When I asked him what did he do for her while she was dying of cancer, he never answered the question. And so I hopped in the comments and I said, Tanya, he answered the question several times. He told you he worked and he paid all the bills. As far as all the assumptions that you're making, we just don't have the whole story. And that's okay. I said he was a truck driver. I said, I mean, hey, we know a lot of truck drivers. We know what they do when they be on the road, but even then, that's an assumption. We just don't know. He didn't have all the information, and it's okay. Y'all, Tanya made a clip. I'm sure it's still somewhere on her channel. Posted my comment, then proceeded to go in like she read it in this real immature, kind of like an ignorant, stupid person voice. Proceeded to call me a mammy. And if you know me, you know I'm nothing of the sort. Okay. Basically made it seem like I'm putting my cape on for men, and that's the kind of stuff I don't like. What is the purpose? Are we really on these YouTube spaces to get to for people to have a better understanding and make better decisions for their lives? Or are we here just so people can trauma dump, get together, and be angry with each other? Because that's not the energy that I'm here for, right? So yes, it was really unfortunate. You can only do so much. And I didn't like it. It made me uncomfortable. And it didn't make me uncomfortable because he was a man being misunderstood and being mishandled. I would have felt that way if it was anybody, right? Because compassion is genderless. I don't only have compassion for somebody just because they're a woman. That's crazy. Yeah, it does seem like the latter. Girl, she did, but even then, I'm not mad at her, to be honest, because I understand why people come to her and watch her. And it's not like Tanya hasn't said things that I've agreed with. It's not like she hasn't made some good points. I'm sure she's done some good for people on her channel, but at the same time, when you have to be so one-sided and so immovable in your views, and on top of that, like, you feel like you have to say certain things to kind of cater to your audience, then the message can either become disingenuous, or I'm looking at her like, sis, you still hurt. You're still in a hurt space. Okay? How can you come on here talking about you life coaching these women when you're still carrying around so much anger? And you know what, it's some times where even when you're trying to help people, you're not healed in certain areas. That doesn't mean you can't help people, but you should stay away from them topics. It's a lot of times where I come on YouTube and I choose not to talk about certain things because I know that when I come talk to y'all about them, I'm not in a good mental that day to talk about it. And I only want to speak what I believe to be true, not what I'm up in my feelings about that day. So I don't even bring that to y'all. Folks got to come together and work out differences, not fortify the walls of division. And you know what, D Malley, people don't even got to come together if they don't want to. If I honestly believe if people just went and separated themselves and worked on themselves, then as a whole everything would be better. So a lot of people need to stay separated. But spreading poison and visceral world to people because you're not, doing the work in certain areas, or because you feel like this space is an outlet, well, that's not right, Um I had something else I wanted to talk about. Give me 1 second, y'all. Oh, this is what I was gonna talk about. Y'all remember the last live we got on, and I was talking about that movie Fury, that World War II movie. Um, and I was in the room with those teenagers, and the boys in the room said they understood why men rape during wartime. Like, what do we expect them to do? Um, because I had already been listening to Princella and that message, when those boys said that, I was not shocked, nor was I upset with them about what they said. Only thing I do with information like that is, well, I understand that I need to be cautious, that I need to be alert. If any civil unrest was to break out in my area, then I would know to make sure I have enough protection and stay as far away from men that I do not know as possible. You get what I'm trying to say? That's very matter of fact information with no emotion involved. That's just the smart thing to do, right? Um Also, I want to talk about that movie again. So if you watch the movie, I don't know if y'all seen it, but basically the premise of it is you get this real young guy who comes in. It's his first time in war, and he joins a seasoned uh army unit, right? This is during World War II. They're in Germany. The war is dang near won. Okay. And he joins a group of guys who have been together and have been murdering and killing from the time they were in North Africa till they invaded the shores of Germany, all the way through France and Belgium, and all of that, right? Not the shores of Germany, the shores of France, and then they worked their way up into Germany. Basically, these men had killed a lot of men. Okay. They had slept with a lot of ladies of the evening for basically the ladies would do it for a chocolate bar, okay, or some cigarettes. Why? It's wartime. Women are resource dependent, men are, you know, sex dependent. I try to be careful on what I say here, guys. So when you get war, you get people operating at their most base animalistic nature. It's a complete collapse of society. There are no rules to prevent you from being who you want to be. Even if you have army corporals there, okay, a lot of the times it is a free for all, and you don't see your in a lot of these men who go to war, they don't see the women on the opposing side as the women that who are their mothers and sisters or anything like that. Now, as I'm talking, don't get this confused as I'm not justifying, I'm explaining that just is what it is, and that's what it's gonna be, whether you think it's right or wrong or anything in between. If you're a woman and you catch yourself in a war zone with males, your probability of getting violated has shot up tremendously. Okay? So yes, this is true. It it will even be men who, they would never do that over here in the United States. And all of a sudden, they go to another country where it's possible and they never have to face jail time. And the other men are doing it too. So they don't feel like anybody has any room to judge them. And again, I'm not trying to hurt your feelings. I know I had men in the chat. I know I had men who will watch this. I'm not trying to, if this don't apply to you, then it don't apply. But again, like we talked about last live, most of y'all wouldn't even leave y'all kids with your best homeboy. Wouldn't leave your daughter alone with your best homeboy. And that just is what it is. But as I'm watching the movie, and I'm not gonna tell y'all the end just in case y'all want to watch it. The young guy, he really is good hearted, right? Like pure hearted. So this ain't all of them. And the other dudes come to the conclusion in the worst one. Y'all, when I tell you I was so ready for this man to die, yep, sure did happen in Katrina. This dude was so, he just didn't care, just real rapey. Um, but he had a private conversation with the more pure, innocent young dude, and he was like, "Hey, the rest of us, we're not good men. Okay, we just not good people. But I believe you're actually a good person." And in that moment, even though I could not stand that man, I had compassion. Why? Yeah, training day vibes. Why'd I have compassion? Because I realized they live in their own personal hell. Do you understand? It's like you doing stuff and you know it's wrong. Your soul is getting ripped apart. And you could tell there were several scenes in the movie where they were indulging in this killing and gross behavior and they would laugh. But then when they get to drinking and their emotions really come out, you could tell they had their soul. Their behavior was tearing their souls apart. But guess what? There was nothing they could do to stop it. Okay? It was too hard for them. Not only was it too hard, the environment they were in just did not permit it. Right? So I told that story to say this. A lot of women feel like y'all got to go around punishing men for the way that they are when a lot of them live in their own personal hell already. You don't got to go out of your way to make their life harder. They gonna do that themselves. All you got to do is stay away. Okay? Uh the man who wanna mac on a whole bunch of different women, constantly sleeping with a whole bunch of different women, some of them sleeping with a whole bunch of different women and men. Does that seem like a happy person? Does that seem like a content person? You can't even be with yourself. You don't even value and respect your temple. You're just driven by sexual urges all day. And when you think about the work that you would have to do to overcome that urge, you cower from it. It makes you nervous. You can't even live your life abundantly because you're a slave to that kind of behavior. Every relationship you have, you touch. Every relationship you touch, you destroy. Every bond that you build, you break. That's a personal hell. You never experience relationships at a deep level. You never experience relationships at a truth level, at a loving level, at a pure level. Everything is seen as an objective to satisfy that urge that you're a slave to. They no different than a crackhead that can't stop doing crack. Y'all don't look at the crackheads and be mad at them when they walking down the street. Y'all pity them and be glad that it's not you. So I think that's more of the place that Princella was coming from. Thank you, Binky. And has always come from. When she started talking about having compassion for men, I wasn't thrown off by that message. It, it makes sense to me. It'd be different if men were choosing to be the way that they are, right? If they could just turn the switch on and off and stop being the way that they are, well, then we wouldn't even have this problem to begin with in a lot of cases. But a lot of them genuinely and truly just are who they are. Okay, and to differing degrees. That's just like when I was telling y'all about the boys in that. And I'm not saying all men are like these boys on that unit. Oh my god, they was extreme. Like the little boys on the sex offender unit that I work with, y'all. I didn't hate them while I was working with them, but I knew I had to watch myself around them. And then when it got to the point where I couldn't work around them, I just couldn't work around them. But I wasn't gonna go out of my way to fill their day with hate. Do y'all understand? Because at the end of the day, no matter how much you hate them, they still gonna be who they are. This is not the same message as let your uncle who you know touch kids come to the family cookout. He absolutely should not come to the family cookout. He like kids. We know he like kids. He should not be there at all. He should not be in any proximity to children, and he probably should be locked away. I even hate lock them up, but that don't mean you gotta hate them. Way more men than women are in jail, homeless, or on drugs. Yes, D Malley. And again, I don't know if you've ever seen Princella talk about this. But basically she says, I kind of give y'all the gist of it. She says that life kind of happens on a pyramid. I don't know if y'all are familiar with um Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? So at your base level, you need certain things provided for you, like food and shelter. Then you need safety. Okay. Then you need belonging. At the very top of the pyramid is self-actualization. But you have to have all these other needs met first before you can self-actualize. Which means if you're at the bottom, if you're stuck in survival mode, then you're operating at an animalistic level. Everything that you do is transactional. And this doesn't just apply to men. There are women like this. I'm going to take it back to Colombia. A lot of those women that you meet in Colombia and Medellin and Cartagena, they don't behave no differently than a man looking to get over because they was raised in poverty, in struggle, and still in a lot of ways in a survival mode mindset. So they will still kill and rob the same way a man would. Her argument, though, is because of the biological differences, though. Women don't struggle with that in the same way. For example, if a woman is getting her needs met in terms of resources, it's far more easier for her to focus on self growth and self development and self actualize. Why? Because we don't have as much testosterone in our body that forces us to have to deal with sexual thoughts running through our mind on a day-to-day basis, right? As for like men, even if you get men who are doing well financially, it's the thoughts that they have to deal with, the self-discipline that men have to deal with, because they need sex at a survival level in a way that women don't. They need access to women at a survival level that women just don't need men at a survival level. And I'm not trying to be funny, but we don't. My group of girlfriends, they'll all tell you they thrive the most when they are not around men. They think clearer. They're able to get more accomplished. They're not thinking about men. Their whole life elevates. And that's the reality of it. Now, when a man can control those urges and then begin to work on himself and discipline in his mind, then that's a bad man. He not to be played with. But those men generally are the ones who run society. And they get the men at the bottom to do their dirty work, like go fight their wars, right? And they do everything they can to keep a certain amount of people, especially men at the bottom. And then when they feel like it's too much of y'all, they go send y'all to war. Let's get rid of a lot of them. It's too much of them, and we don't have enough jobs for them to go around. We don't have enough jobs, and we don't have enough women for them to go around, and or we got too many that the women don't even want no more, and it's causing a problem. That's why we headed toward another world war right now. I don't know if y'all been paying attention to that. But this gender war is gonna come to a head in ways that are gonna be very interesting. But my point is, so she that is her message, right? And so her message is women should understand that y'all struggle in ways that we don't, and not expect y'all to do things and behave in the ways that we want y'all to behave, because that is not your nature. That's not what you're capable of. The things that we're looking for in men, that's really characteristics of us. That's really characteristics of a woman. That's why you see, if we want to talk, I hate to kind of get on race, but if we want to talk about in terms of the black community, anytime black women gotta kind of get it out the mud, we just do. We might complain about it, but black women is just, they're hustlers because they have to be. Whereas you've seen, and we've gone through the same things as a culture with the men. And then you see the men have gone through the same things we have, but it's affected the men different. The men have felt a lot more castrated. They've had a harder time in society, uh, just kind of working through it and thugging it out and pulling up their bridges and really digging their heels in. It's done damn because the male is much more fragile. And then on top of that, has to overcome his testosterone, right? The men have just had a harder time overcoming the struggles that this society brings than women, whereas it has created hustlers out of black women. The struggle has bred, the necessity has bred creativity in us. And again, this is not me talking about all black men, I'm talking about the majority. But then the danger in that is that you have men who are sex driven, and a lot of black women who had the right idea and are hustlers do what? We say, okay, well, we need to have compassion for them and, give them access, still giving them access to sex, still letting the men come sleep on their couch and eat up their kids' cereal. And guess what? Now you got a man who's demoralized and he's lazy and he don't gotta go do nothing else because everything he needs you are providing. So he don't even gotta go be better. And then they look at us and hate us for it. Okay, that's why you got all these men talking about the problems with the black community came from the single mother. I don't agree with that all the way, but I understand what they're saying by black women being uh too, I'm not gonna say too compassionate because we should always have compassion, but too weak and not letting these men stand on their own 2 feet. We have created a problem because men are supposed to be out in the world, not in the house like a little house cat getting taken care of. That just is what it is. But I can say that and not be mad at the men. Do y'all see how accountability works? Do y'all see how accountability works? See, a lot of women will want me to get here on this YouTube and say the men are wrong for taking advantage of these women who are kind to them. No, both people are behaving the way that they're behaving out of ignorance. The woman don't know no better and think that the man is supposed to act like her. If all of his resources are provided for, then he has free reign to be creative and go be a hustler. So she don't understand, so you got to have compassion for her too. But when you know better, then all it is about is just switching up your behavior, not contributing to the problem. It's really that simple. But to operate in hate and anger, that don't do nothing but hold you back. So yeah, Princella, they was going in on Princella. And Princella's, basically let them know I'm not gonna be arguing with y'all. Y'all gonna be mad by yourself. Okay. Um she told one of them, she said, if what you want to do is be mad and go live in hell, I hope you do that. I hope you have a good time doing that. And they got mad at her, but they didn't understand what she was saying. You can create a personal hell for yourself on earth by walking around mad, angry, bitter, and blaming. You can create a stagnant half life for yourself living like that. Yeah, Binky girl, she told the girl, like she said, you can go live in hell by yourself. She told the girl just like that. Boy, I must have bust out laughing. But I got what she was saying. Kiki Jefferson. I feel like I'm just now seeing her name for the first time. Hey Kiki, welcome to the chat. I know this is the first time you commented in the chat. Maybe watched the videos before, but welcome. It's good to see you here. I hate that you came on at the end because I'm about to get off. Um, y'all, I'm really trying to narrow down like some consistent times that y'all know to come, but y'all just gonna have to catch the replay. And if y'all want to chit chat in the replay, we can. I feel like I pretty much made my points though. Another thing I want to say too is people are fickle, and that's why when you're in this space, you can't really pigeonhole yourself. Y'all see, I don't really. It's not that I don't believe the things that I say when I get on here and wholeheartedly believe them, and I'm not really trying to what I say I mean. And I consider other people's feelings, but your feelings are not going to change my message. Does that make sense? So I'm mindful of how I make y'all feel. I'm mindful of how it comes off, right? But at the end of the day, I'm going to speak what I really think, but I'm also going to be try my best to be respectful of the fact that I'm talking to people that might not necessarily think the way I do. I'm talking if I'm talking about like I was saying, men, I'm not trying to offend y'all. I understand there are men in this chat and I'm genuinely not trying to offend y'all. And I think that it's important that I make my intent and my intentions known so they don't get taken the wrong way. But at the same time, I still gotta speak this truth, right? And I think a lot of YouTubers in this YouTube space, even Mr. D, I saw you sent me that interview that you did with Mentuition, and I have no problem saying this, and I don't have nothing against them. But I I would never go on that podcast again, and they know why. Um, they know exactly why. But basically the issue I had with them is I'm coming here trying to have a nuanced, respectful, and well-rounded conversation. But after, I get off the show, you want to do certain things because you pigeonhole yourself into an audience. So you have to cater to the audience that you pigeonholed yourself to, and in the process, steady throwing shade at me or trying to make me look at a like a bad person or marketing the videos saying I said stuff I never even said when you actually go watch it. And I don't, I got to deal with folks that move in integrity, right? And once I see that you can't move in integrity because all of your money comes from you catering to an audience, that you can't hear a different perspective, and even if you are hearing different perspectives, and even if you agree with them or see the logic in it, you can't admit it to your audience because you got to keep them dollars coming in, then I can no longer fool with you. Cause it's too many people on YouTube that are moving with integrity, even though it don't look like that. There are. Okay. Uh I say this all the time. AP, I don't 100% agree with everything he says. I agree with majority of what he says. I probably say about 90% of the things he says I agree with. But guess what? Everything he says, that's really just how he feel about it. And every time I've gone on that man's channel, he ain't never did me greasy, shady, or dirty, or chopped up no clip and tried to make me uh look bad. I know I'm gonna be dealt with and handled fairly when I go on that platform. So that's what I'm used to dealing with. So when I wasn't getting that treatment, when I didn't get that treatment, I was like, oh baby, no, never again. Cause I'm used to 5-star treatment when I'm a guest on somebody else's show. Y'all understand? Um, so yeah, I applaud Princella for keeping it real. I applaud Princella for standing on her message, and I applaud her for along with her speaking the truth and conclusions that she has come to, also talking about passion and healing and self-worth and self-development. And I hope she continues to go that way. And that's definitely what my message is about on this channel as well. And I'm looking forward to growing with everybody. Even though I do truly believe that most men will never be able to love. Guess what? It's a lot of women because they're stuck in their feelings and their hatred and their anger and their pain and hurt, they won't be able to love either. So if I expect that if you're on my channel, that you came here to grow and learn and evolve. And if you a man and you listen to me to any extended period of time, then I'm assuming that you're here for the same thing as well. So I'm never gonna mistreat a man that comes to my channel, even though the majority of my audience is women, and my message is probably more female centered, right? But I assume that if you come to my channel and you're a man, you came to learn, you came to get something out of it. Maybe you are that small percentage of men who's trying to do better and is capable of love. I don't know. I don't know y'all personal lives, right? But over here, we're gonna move with compassion, and everybody's gonna be treated equally over here. And everybody's gonna be held accountable equally over here, including me. I hold myself accountable first before I hold anybody else accountable. I hold me accountable first. Okay. But that's all I have to say. I really appreciate y'all showing up, participating in the chat. I see people coming in and out. I hope one day y'all will comment, and please make sure that y'all like my videos, share them so that my message can get spread across this YouTube streets and we can continue to grow. I said I had a goal of by March being at 500 subscribers. I'm 10 subscribers away from that. So we're almost at the goal post, and it's going to continue to grow from there, guys. So again, I appreciate y'all. I love y'all for real, and y'all have a good night.